Hey yo, salute to all my subscribers. Shout out to everybody else passing through. YouTube, what's good? So I came through to talk a little bit about the differences between life experience versus institutional education. Because I'm running across a lot of people who seem to think that because they have degrees and because they went to certain universities, that means that they're necessarily smarter than individuals who either didn't go to prestigious universities or didn't get a degree at all. And for people like that who I come across who try to win different debates with me and they throw out, oh, well, I have X number of degrees, or I have this degree, or I have that degree, or I went to an HSBC, or I went to this school. Yo, you can all miss me with that shit because when somebody tells me that they have a degree, while the majority of people who hear that might be impressed, I'm someone who has a certain level of life experience. And when someone comes at me with that degree talk, all that means to me is that you're someone who is able to absorb information, which, unless you have some kind of learning impediment or mental disability, we all are able to absorb information. Um, but all that tells me about you is that you're able to absorb information and retain that information long enough to pass an exam or a series of exams. Just because you went to a school and took a certain course of study that's concentrated toward a particular thing does not mean that you're more educated than I am, or that someone who didn't go that route in their life and that's not their life path, it doesn't mean that that person is less educated than you are. Because if you go back 20 or 30 years before this internet age that we live in really blew up, even if you go back to Dewey Decimal Systems, index cards, and libraries, I don't care if you're someone who graduated from Harvard with a master's degree, you don't have access to any more or less information, educational information, than someone who didn't go to college would have. If I have a library card, I have access to the same educational information that you, as a Harvard student, has. The information is out there. And now that we live in this internet age where everything that could possibly be learned about anything can be found on the internet, just as it could be found years ago in a library or in an Encyclopedia Britannica catalog, we all have access to the same information. But there's still a difference in between people who have more traditional forms of education and people who don't, if you have life experience. Because if I'm someone who needs to bring a lawsuit against a person or an entity for one reason or another, and I have a choice between two attorneys, while both of those attorneys went to law school, while both of those attorneys passed the bar exam, all things that certify that they have a basic understanding of the law and that they completed all the required coursework that they were required to complete to even be eligible to take the bar, there's still a difference between those two attorneys. If one just passed the bar a year ago and I need to bring a lawsuit against a Fortune 500 corporation for something, and the other attorney who also passed the bar and has their certification to be an attorney, but they've been practicing law for 20 years and have brought about a few dozen or 100 or so lawsuits against different corporations and have done so successfully, which attorney am I going to choose if I want to win that court case? If I want to win that lawsuit, I'm going to choose the person who has more life experience. It's not just about what school you went to or what degree you were able to successfully complete. Whether you're somebody who has an associate's degree, a bachelor's, a master's, or even a PhD, whether you have several masters, whether you have several bachelor's degrees, all it means to me is if I need to interact with you and that interaction pertains to a certain specialty that your degree says that you are able to practice in, That's really the extent of what your degree means to me. It doesn't mean anything else to me. So when you people come at me like, yo, I got all of these degrees, but then you engage in a debate with me, why a lot of you are on the losing end is because I've been doing this for so long, and it's really my life work, that my educational experience and my different life experiences still put me, if not at an equal playing field, at a higher advantage. And I really want people to start understanding that there really is a difference. Like if I need to get a surgery done or have some kind of procedure done in a hospital, that is the difference between me continuing to be healthy or me, not surviving past that illness or sickness or medical condition, whatever it is. I'm not going to choose a surgeon or a specialist just because they passed a set of certifications and examinations that they needed to, or completed a minimum number of hours to be considered a specialist in that field. I still want to go with someone who's been doing this for 10 years, 15 years, and who have maybe done a few dozen or a few hundred of these procedures successfully. It's about life experience. Yes, a degree does help you in certain aspects of life. The main aspect being the workforce. I mean, there are certain corporations that are looking to hire people in specialized fields where they require degrees. I mean, you're not going to want to hire an accountant if you're the CEO of a company. You're not going to want to have a COO who didn't graduate with an accounting degree. These types of things make sense. But also, if I graduated 2 years ago from, let's say, NYU, and I have a bachelor's degree in accounting or in finance, yeah, I may fare well in certain interviews if I'm going to interview to become an accountant for, let's say, Microsoft or something like that. But if someone who's interviewing not only has the same degree that I have, but they've been in accounting for the past 10, 15, or 20 years, I don't stand a chance with that company. Because at the end of the day, everybody understands in the corporate world, in the social world, that it's about life experience above and beyond anything and everything else. The only reason why having a degree is becoming so prevalent in the workforce now is because these companies, these corporations, these entities, they need to find more aggressive ways to shorten the pool of applicants that they have. And there are certain jobs that do require certain levels of specialized education. But past that, just the two of us, or if we interact with each other on an everyday or social level, your degree means nothing to me. Because I guarantee you that the level of information that I've retained throughout my life and the way that I study life and different things, you're not going to be able to tell if you put us both in a room and we have a conversation about any social issue or the majority of political issues. If these are things that I have taken interest in and have studied and have done my due diligence in learning about these different things, a person watching us go back and forth isn't going to necessarily be able to tell, barring one of us saying so, that one of us has a degree or degrees and one of us doesn't. It's not about that. It's about life experience. And my life path didn't take me in the direction of wanting to get a piece of paper that says, I know this about this. That was never my motivation. My motivation in life since the age of 9 was to become a published author. And at the age of 31, I achieved that goal. And I continue to pursue that craft because that's what I do. That's what my life work is. I'm a writer. I write books. I'm working on my second book right now. My first book, like you all know if you've been following my channel, 365 Days to Seasonal Change. You can find it on Amazon as well as in the Kindle digital store. It's available for download in the digital form as well as available for order in paperback edition. But that's what I do. And when I come across people and when I interact with people, whether it be, a guest host on my podcast, one of my 2 podcasts, or, just a topic that I'm talking about here on my YouTube channel, i.e. this topic that I'm going in on right now. The fact that I don't have 2 or 3 degrees or a bachelor's in science or a master's degree in education or whatever it is, does not mean that you, as someone who is watching my videos and commenting on my videos or on my content, please don't think that means that you're more educated than I am. Because I guarantee you, if you put us in a room and expose us to the same information, anything that you're going to be able to take from that information that you absorb is going to be the same that I'm going to be able to take from it. And I may even be able to look at it from a different aspect, because it's just what I do. We all have gifts, and we all have different things that we're strong at, and we all have different things that we're weaker at. And the purpose of me talking about this today is twofold, because I really want people to know who watch my videos and the people who have been commenting as of late on my different content. Please don't think that because you went to a certain school or have a certain number of degrees that means something to me necessarily, because it doesn't. I'm all about people who are intelligent enough to not only have book smarts, but also to have life experience and common sense, or what we call street smarts if you were raised in an urban environment. Because it all boils down to instinct. It all boils down to common decency. It all boils down to having a basic capacity to be able to interact with people within any different space and from different walks of life. Because there's certain things that your degree just won't help you with. I've been in hospitality for 10 years. And if someone who is a guest checking into my hotel, and if I'm an operations manager in that hotel, or if I'm a front office manager or a general manager in that hotel, and I have 2 people who are at my front desk greeting guests, checking guests in, and interacting with guests throughout the course of their stay, that guest doesn't care if one of you has a degree in hospitality and the other one doesn't. That guest cares about one thing above everything else. And that guest cares about your level of hospitality toward that guest and what type of experience you're able to give them throughout the duration of their stay. It's about life experience. It's not about a degree that you have. It's not about a school that you went to. So all of us, we need to stop belittling people who didn't go traditional routes to get their education. Especially now in an age where a lot of education can be sought online. There are a lot of different trades that people who decide to go into different fields that they choose to get. And I'm not saying that I'm necessarily as smart as someone who is a corporate analyst on Wall Street or who is a political analyst on CNN. Their concentration of information and their education is a totally different thing, but it's geared towards specifically dealing with something that I don't really deal in. If I chose to get into that field and study everything that they study, there would be nothing that would be impeding me from learning everything that they've learned. It's just not my choice as far as life paths. We need to stop thinking as people that because we have different exposures and because we have different levels of knowledge about different things, because there's levels to this shit, as we all know, we need to stop thinking that makes one person better or worse off than the other, because that's really not the case. Let me know what y'all think. Comment, like, subscribe. I don't pretend to know everything. I just know what I know. I'll see you on the next one. Peace and love.